Five, four, three.
Good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my hetero life mate, All My Feelings. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. Feeling kind of spoopy.
Feeling kind of spoopy. What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie you watch, to come back to us, and we break it down for you as we tie up a little ribbon on the old spooky season. We have chosen to talk about a movie that I only watched last year, sort of similar to almost a lot of the movies that we got picked for this month, which is Cabin in the Woods. And to talk to us about it is our good friend of the channel, HorrorAmorata. How are you?
I am doing quite well, thank you. I'm definitely looking forward to this. This is one of my more favorite spooky, scary movies just because of the whole layout. So I'm excited.
All right. So, let's start with All My Feelings. You introduced me to this movie last year, and you were like, you should watch this, blah, blah, blah. We talked about the project I did last year, which was like every day a scary movie and a review of it, just a short little review. And this movie was like the first or second that I've watched, not necessarily did a review for, but actually watched. How many times have we watched it? Maybe this week.
Twice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
But again, more for just the elevator scene, which we'll get to. Where again, HorrorAmorata, we would sit there like, see how many you can name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fun scene.
And which references they are to, which is great. I love the fact that they had the killer robot that was an homage to Chopping Mall, where I'm like, nobody else except deep horror nerds really know that. It's fantastic.
All right, we'll say hello to the chat with Jillian and the rest of the lurkers. Thank you very much for joining us. I know that the Salty Nerd podcast will not be joining us tonight just because they're just moving somewhere else. There's a birthday party stream or whatever. But if you're here, please enjoy yourselves, because these two are the horror expert. I am but a novice in this, but it's going to be a great conversation because this, I think, as an intro, I think if there's a movie fan that is not really into the horror genre, I think this movie is a great little introduction to not only new horror, but it kind of old horror as well. Sort of harken 80s.
Well, it harkens back to a lot of the slashers again, the stereotype of the harbinger, which they actually call him the harbinger Mordecai, where again, you're all doomed. You're doomed.
All right, cool. So to start us off with our show, we'll start at the beginning, and that is behind the screens.
Sound production, take 2.
All right, behind the screens is where we turn to me and get the lowdown on everything that is behind the scenes, production, creative, all that good stuff. Hopefully, the source that I used was correct, because I just hate using IMDb. It's fucking hit and miss.
I was gonna say, as we start, just real quick, just for some people that are fans of Josh Whedon's older stuff, you're gonna see a lot of recurring characters.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. All right. So the script was written by Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard. Both of them are friends of sorts, right? They've worked on several projects together. I'm not sure if it's the first one, couldn't tell. They locked themselves in a hotel room and forced themselves to do this in about 3 days as a challenge, just as a challenge. So they wrote one script in 1 weekend, and that was the script they used. The inspiration for Drew Goddard, or where he drew his kind of, where the part of the sort of workers, you know, the other side of the cabin, well, let's just say that, is due to he was raised in Los Alamos, which is where they did the nuclear testing, and he kind of knew a lot of these engineers growing up because it's fathers, mothers of, you know, his friends. I think he said it, what interview I've seen him on, I think it was the DVD commentary special features kind of thing. I just saw it's on YouTube, I think. The other inspiration for this specifically that both Joss Whedon and Goddard mentioned is the Evil Dead series, Resident Evil, Friday the 13th, the entire franchise, Cabin Fever, and Saw. Sort of a mix and match of all those things together. And that's why I kind of, when I saw this, and again, not a big fan, said it numerous times, my issue was everything I saw was like, oh, I know this from somewhere else. I know where this piece of the puzzle goes. Even when they went overboard and went down the elevator and you see all the monsters, it was like, oh, okay, I get it. Chris Hemsworth, the biggest name in the movie as an actor, was cast way back when in 2009 when they started actually working on the movie. Now it says in the title 2011. It actually was debuted in April of 2012. Part of the reason is they started to film the movie. MGM saw the dailies because they were sent for, you know, studio approval, and Chris Hemsworth was actually cast because of those dailies to the next MGM project, which was Red Dawn, the remake of the old 1984 Red Dawn.
Yep.
Yes.
But also, after they chose him, after they said, well, you're going to be cast to Red Dawn, 2 days after, he got the job as Thor. The problem was MGM underwent bankruptcy issues, or not issues, they undergo bankruptcy. So both Red Dawn, which came out 2012 as well, they were both delayed, both Cabin in the Woods and Red Dawn. So effectively, Thor came out first, then Cabin in the Woods came out second. So it got a little bit of a push because of Chris Hemsworth. This was
It's really just too bad, that not another teen movie couldn't have been pushed nearly 10 years for Captain America. For the other Chris in the Marvel universe.
Drew Goddard, this was his directorial debut. At first, they were looking for somebody else to take over. A man by the name of Victor Salva. I don't know who he did. I don't know what he did, but I guess he was responsible for Jeepers Creepers.
There's a lot of stuff you don't want to talk about him about. But
okay,
HorrorAmorata, you know a little bit more about that too. He's not a good person.
No, not the type of person you want to.
Yeah,
especially around your kids.
Yeah,
he's not a good
really
person.
Gives you the Jeepers and the Creepers.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. And it was actually Whedon that said to kind of push Drew Goddard to, make that transition, make that move to go ahead and do make the directorial debut. Now the thing is, Drew Goddard apparently is he did grow up as Catholic. And he still has had a lot of reservation. So he felt very uncomfortable to direct Anna Hutchinson in the nude scene.
Which is so funny, too, because at the time, Anna Hutchinson was also on a Starz show. She was working on several different productions. One of them was the Starz series of Spartacus.
Oh, so yeah, so that kind of,
and she was naked a lot in that show.
That's exactly what I was going to say. The issue is Anna Hutchinson said, "Well, don't worry about it. It's fine. I don't have a problem with this." Yeah. And they just did the scene because she said it's not a big deal, and we'll go do it and get it over with. When she kisses the head of the wolf, they had to sprinkle some powdered sugar on the silicone tongue, just in order to make the scene tolerable for the actress. Yeah. Another little funny connection, which I found funny, is they were pushing for Jamie Lee Curtis to be the director of the compound,
which would have been perfect.
Yes,
it would have been such good casting.
And I think there was some sort of a scheduling issue, and they had this kind of the same scheduling issue with Bruce Campbell, who was the next up to do the director's role.
And now, see, oddly enough, I could see him in the role as Steve.
Mm-hmm.
That's Bradley Whitford's character.
And eventually they went with Sigourney Weaver because Joss Whedon wrote Alien 4, and they have had that sort of working relationship. They kind of knew each other, and she said, "Well, yeah, sure, for sure," and she did it. That is what I have. That's all I have. I know it's a bit short, but that's what I can find that I could verify.
Yeah.
I think you sent me something, Feelings, this week. You said there's a podcast discussing the movie.
There are multiple.
Okay.
They go really, really in depth. That, and also obviously again, the people at James E. Janice and his crew at Dead Meat can only recommend that when they go over the kill count stuff, they go really, really far in depth. If there's anything that we missed on any films that they cover on the kill count, trust me, they have it there. If they don't have it there, it probably doesn't exist.
So the only issue I have is I didn't want to taint my opinion with another show. That's the only reason
that's fair.
why I didn't watch it. We didn't discuss it backstage, but it's just I thought it would be important for me to have a fresh look because, again, only watched it last year, watched it again, kind of did the research and all that stuff. It's a very interesting movie. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of fun to watch. All right. Let's just say hello to a few people in the chat before we start off. Say hello to Jillian and Sander and Juliet and whoever else is with us not talking, which is all good. All right, cool. Let me just do this and that and this. All right. And the thing for me is you kind of expect something to happen and then something else happens. This is throughout this movie because it starts with, to me, familiar faces. It's these faces.
We have Bradley Whitford and Richard Jenkins as Steve and Gary.
And Amy Acker.
Who's just like, yeah, I don't really see her in many other productions. Like Josh Whedon's attached. She's probably in there somewhere.
Yeah, probably. And this is sort of, it serves as the prologue to this entire thing. And when I started to watch this, I was like, what is this? Yeah. I can understand there's a thing going on, but it ended up being Joss Whedon's favorite, a Hellmouth.
A Hellmouth, yeah.
A Hellmouth.
What's odd too is just on an aside, as you mentioned that the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis may have been actually the director. Mm-hmm. There's no actual indication on when this actually takes place during the year. So how perfect would have been if this was actually took place on Halloween and Jamie Lee Curtis was the director?
That would have been good.
Yeah.
And with the way that this always is kind of set up and the cliche that's set up, the entire narrative behind it is the fact that these individual beings are the creations of nightmares. Mm-hmm. of these elder gods, and as the elder gods are these omnipotent sort of beings that are controlling the fate of these people. So in a way, are the creators of the films, or so directors in their own right, are they technically the old gods, or are we as the viewers the old gods that are watching them?
I'm hands off this.
I'm just saying it's a unique concept to think about. Because maybe it's also kind of a commentary on consumerism. So
kind of is, really.
Yeah. And also the soundtrack's really good too. So
yeah. Or good soundtrack.
Horrible individual. I don't know. One of the other.
Why not both?
Or both. The introduction of this guy. Now,
yes, Marty McCliskey. Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of things here. First of all, and this is very important to this production, the coffee cup / bong contraption. Let's just say that. That is a working coffee mug and a bong, both at the same time, and they paid $5,000 to make that work.
Damn.
As a prop.
It reminds me of the last time we had you on, Miss HorrorAmorata, with the killer clowns from outer space. How the most expensive thing was the prop gun.
Yeah.
And not only that, the car that he's driving, they specifically bought that specific car because it was Drew Goddard's car when he was in high school. Half mirroring Sam Raimi's relationship with the car he has in Evil Dead. I found hilarious and like, what a great homage, right?
It's a clever little thing that most people probably would never even think about.
No, and
there was one thing I did want to add that I do know is a thing. Jules Lorden, the entire scene with Kurt and Jules, Amy Hutchinson actually improvised the "I learned it by watching you." Yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
And then, of course, the guys are, congregating together. We have
And, as an aside, as Sandra brought up real quick, the stoner reference. Do you think they brought on Franz Kranz because he looks a little bit like Shaggy?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you
Just a
see the
little
movie,
bit.
you absolutely do you think he? Yeah.
I'm not sure it was my reaction. I think it was my reaction too. It's like, oh, it too obvious. And to me, I thought, okay, he is either going to die first or he's going to die last, just before the last girl. And he ended up being sort of the final girl. Not really. Yes, really. Kind of.
Well, they had a final girl and a final stoner. So.
Yeah, I guess. But the whole point is we have that sort of encounter introducing the college kids. There's something about the Halloween season, and I'll tell you why. And you said it, and it kind of clicked for me. It kind of is the Halloween season.
Yeah.
Because you look at the trees. Or it could be Thanksgiving. Right? Just that.
It's a
whole-
fallish.
Fallish.
Fallish, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where they are. You know what's funny? The first scene that they've actually shot, or the scene that they were supposed to shoot first, was the scene at the gas station. But that day it snowed, so it kind of ruined their day. Really,
Yeah.
And that's Drew Goddard's debut day, like his first day as the director, and already the shot is already shot.
Yeah.
But the first inkling of to sort of connect the prologue to what we're seeing comes at the end, as the guys kind of roll in their van towards the cabin that they've hired, and we get this.
Yeah, the guy on the.
Yeah, this is the first tell to give you like, okay, what's going on, what's happening, how does that connect with this? And this really piqued my interest when I saw this for the very first time. It's like, okay, so it starts off weird with this weird prologue. Then we're doing this, I would say, typical 80s slasher college kids beginning, going off to the lake, going off to a cabin, sort of that sort of a slasher film take.
Well, I mean, even
this.
that inherent trope too, we covered it on another film that we even talked about last week that we did back in May. Tucker and Dale versus Evil even has that, but how it's turned on its head.
Yeah.
And I found that really interesting because, like I said, Tucker and Dale, first time watching, found it very interesting because I've recognized the tropes, but then you give that a little twist and you make it your own kind of film, and it's a different kind of a slasher where it's goes off to a wild parody comedy, a version of that genre.
These college kids keep killing themselves.
and immediately it goes to this where it just goes super global, and these two guys are looking at this thing, and I was like, what is going on? And it really kept me engaged. It really, really kept me engaged. And of course, we've got the first scene.
Well, we do have the also them going through the tunnel and the shot of the eagle flying into the force field.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah, you know what's weird? I didn't catch that the very first time I.
Okay.
I don't think that's weird because it's such a quick little shot that I think it's really easy to mix.
I completely missed it. Understand, the first time I watched this, the first time I actually made the connection, sort of like, okay, this is weird, is where Chris Hemsworth went through with the bike jump and then that force field.
He's got to make it. He's got to. Oh,
yeah.
Nope. splat.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it wasn't a splat; it was multiple splats.
Well, kind of a crunch / splat.
And
Uh,
I did love the actually the very good attention to detail on that shot. How the light kept flashing as he kept bouncing against it as he fell.
yeah. To me, this was straight out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That gas station, right?
Mhm.
That gas station was
the gas station there, and also from Friday the 13th, the original. That's where that's come from. But the cabin, the way that this is set up, it's definitely it's all Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's
Evil Dead.
They have a very, very good bit at the end where how it was clearly set up the entire time when Dana even asks Marty's like, I don't think Kurt even had a cousin.
So the guys are going into the cabin, and we have, let's see, when they go in, you know what, I'm moving it a little bit forward, okay, a little bit forward to this scene.
Yeah,
that, and also the painting. Wouldn't you well, obviously the way that it's set up, there's hormones and there's all kinds of chemicals that's changing their brain chemistry in order to keep them moving along this track. But in any other set of circumstances, wouldn't you look at that painting and go, well, first and foremost, looks like nobody's been here for a long time. So who is your cousin exactly? And what the fuck is this?
Why does your cousin have such strange taste?
Yeah.
How old is your cousin again?
And when they were down, remember when they go down to the cellar, it was, man, your cousin's got some weird taste. Like, I don't think this is my cousin's.
But to me, as they first, you see this, is to me as it screamed Evil Dead.
Yeah, this is it's just missing the car parked out front.
Yeah, and I
the
love
woodshed on the side.
Yeah, and the woodshed. Yeah,
I love it that it really is the homage to this. As which one of the guys went to the shed? This dude, right? Who went to the shed? Never mind.
There was no shed.
No. I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about the basement.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with all the hormones that are pumping into this thing, well, we see it later. Wouldn't you think he would not tell her anything?
Well, you have to remember that they are just getting in there, so the hormones haven't quite had the time to settle all the way through.
Take effect. And that's what I thought, that it was great with the entire backstory of Jules having her hair dyed and that being part of the setup of how she becomes the prototypical whore character that's needed to fit the narrative, because otherwise she wouldn't have been acting like that. And how Marty is the one where they're like, yeah, I don't know. Apparently, like, his brain was too fried where the chemicals didn't work on him.
Yeah, he was on some kind of super weed that just, or they gave him some kind of super weed that should have knocked him out, but he's such a stoner, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but another inkling to after they pass and they go through the room thing where they change rooms and she puts on the painting and then she realizes, yeah, this is creepy.
She said the same thing exactly that Jesse, the scholar character, says. When he looks and goes, nope. Nope.
And we have
this. I love the interpersonal. Like, even though they're talking about basically murdering 5 people, it's still inner office politics. We're like, I really don't like that Mordecai guy. Let's play a prank on him.
Yeah.
He's like, am I still on speakerphone?
Yeah. And there's moments of humor in this, which I particularly liked, where you're supposed to be on like some sort of a knife's edge, because you went into this knowing it's a horror film, so people are going to get killed, but don't know where or when, and you have this sort of a office politics. Now, what the hell is going on here? And you're kind of stuck. It keeps you on that edge all the time. Well, at least I was, because I was waiting for something to happen, and what happens is they're still going into these motions, right?
Now, it's funny because the setup for a joke and the setup for a scare can have a lot of the same build. And I feel like they use that to kind of emphasize the funny little jokes that they stick in there, because you're getting to that point where expecting something scary, but instead it's an office humor joke, and you're kind of like, what?
What?
And that's
And
really
that
apparent too.
unevenness keeps you and it keeps you with the story,
Right.
And that's really apparent too, because right after this we have them going to the lake scene, and that is juxtaposed with all of the guys back in the office, and they basically have a Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which monster's going to be the one that's picked?
That's my favorite scene.
It's great. and how
my favorite
Steve is
scene.
just like, man, this is well, later on when it's not the merman, he's like, I'm never going to be able to see a merman.
Yeah, it's that thing in the office where they get it. This is not the scene. I mean the scene where actually when the stuff actually started, when everybody's in that office and they have that little, that board,
The whiteboard, yeah.
the whiteboard where they like, okay, no one bets on the zombies, and at a moment, at one point they were like, okay, send in the family of the killer, like, and there's an argument. No, they are.
The girl says, is like, no, I got zombies. No. They're zombies, but no, this is zombie redneck torture family.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
But I'll be honest, the scene with the board, and maybe it's just me, but that reminds me a lot of The Running Man, when they would bet, when they're betting on the killers to come in.
Yep. Oh god, that's another movie that we need to cover at some point in time, because that movie is
The Running Man.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
It's just wild.
I know.
It's such a bad movie, but it's funny.
All right, let's do a quick pause and we'll do our first game of the night. It is called Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters, have their text written off. We display them in HorrorAmorata, or the chat will have to guess which movie this is. You ready? Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. Annie? I don't know.
Annie is close.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of it.
The movie that won the Oscar the same year Star Wars came out, and it made a fraction of the money.
Yep.
It's hilarious. You think I'd know that?
Sanders got it.
Yeah, it's Annie Hall.
Yeah, I just know Annie.
This is another movie that I will fight.
We are
to death.
covering
We
this
have
next
to
year.
cover this movie.
We are covering this movie next year,
So good.
and I have the perfect month for it. It's in January.
Oh, from birthday?
I don't know this one.
Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, RDJ, when RDJ was still kind of
RDJ. This is like the start of his comeback after Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Was this, and then Iron Man, and it's a Scanner Dark call. Get it right.
Wow, you guys picked absolutely nothing I know today.
This is a great movie.
This is super random. I recently randomized all of them.
Oh, you did a great job. I have no idea what's going on here.
Chat will help you. It is Sander Hammerschlag again. It is Enemy at the Gates.
It's all about Stalingrad.
Yep. By the way, this is one of the posters that I found, a newer one.
This is such a great one, and I love the fact that it has, would you like a chocolate pretzel?
Yes.
So is this Mallrats?
Yeah.
This is Mallrats, correct. Great fucking poster.
I know I should know the title of this one, but I don't. I've never actually seen it, and that's part of the problem.
This is the first one before it went way too off the rails, right, Meph?
Yeah, the second one was.
It was like, what?
Shit.
So now they actually are magic. They're not magicians anymore.
Yes, it's so weird. It's called Now You See Me.
Ah.
It's pretty It's not bad. It's not.
It's an entertaining movie, definitely.
It's a definite popcorn 7 out of 10 movie.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction is correct.
Return of the King.
No.
So, Beth, how many times is she going to have to take to say it? Is it
Have 3 guesses, and she's
You only
gonna-
have 3 guesses, and I guess Fellowship of the Ring because it's not Two
Fellowship
Towers,
of
is it?
the Ring is correct.
Hey, you got it before I did horror, so there you go.
Witches of Eastwick.
Good
Correct.
movie.
No idea.
It's the video game character.
Oh, okay. So this is Lara Croft.
Well,
Yes, but
But-
she is the
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider is correct.
it's the new one. It's bad.
This is one of the Toy Stories, but I
Yes.
don't think it's 1. It's got to be what, 3?
3 is correct. Do you know how do you know?
Fair, right?
I guessed.
Big fat teddy bear right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. That's
I
all
just knew it
10.
wasn't 4.
No, it's not 4. It doesn't
'Cause
have
it didn't
the
have the stupid fork thing.
no, and she didn't the princess, I think, right? The princess is in 4.
I've never actually watched 4. I just knew about the stupid
I've
fork
never
thing.
seen 4 either.
I know I haven't seen 4. I know there's
That's 3 for 3 who have not seen the 4th in that entire series.
I would rather watch Terrifier 2. Wait, no. Terrifier 1 again, 2 and 3 at the same night, and eat a bowl of cereal and not watch Toy Story 4. And bowl of
I don't
cereal-
think you're going to be able to make it
One-
through Terrifier 2, to be honest, buddy.
the
Really?
what?
Yeah. I don't think you're going to be able to make it through Terrifier 2.
I barely made it through Terrifier 1.
There's going to be a certain scene that you get to in Amorata. It's the bedroom scene. You know the kill. Where I'm just you're going to be just like, I'm going to have to fast forward.
Oh, I kind of fast forward in when the girl was upside down and she got sawed
in half?
vagina down or whatever.
Oh, that one was
like-
so tame.
That was tame for Terrifier. Yeah.
no. That was a big no for me.
Oh,
And
it was a lot of fun though.
To be fair, this is why I kind of enjoy like doing these first time watch of a genre that I don't particularly like to watch, because I can go past a lot of these jump scares. They don't particularly scare me. You know, I watched a lot of stuff that I shouldn't watch at age 9, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
You know, not for me. When it goes into full gore porn, you just lose me. Because one of the problem I have with Terrifier, and we might cover it someday, my main issue with Terrifier is that there's no discernible story that I can cling to that keeps me engaged with what I'm watching. I don't need to see the next kill to see the next kill, because
going to say
the same reason why I don't want to watch the Human Centipede.
Mm.
I had to watch it once.
I was gonna say, well, that I know that you wouldn't want to watch Martyrs either. That's a rough watch. That's a rough watch. That actually has a point to it. But Terrifier 2 kind of has builds a backstory, and Terrifier 3 goes way more into it. There's a lot of supernatural elements behind Art the Clown.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
Does any of it tie back into his original origin? The
From All Hallows Eve?
Yeah.
Not really.
Hmm.
No.
You see, I think that's part of what bothers me about it. But sorry to derail. I had to ask.
No, that's cool. We're talking about horror films. This is the horror season. It's fine.
Yeah, Paul definitely. Martyrs is a movie that's not for no.
Yeah, when Paul says it's something, I was like,
it is something.
all right. Back to this, and we said the basement, and it sort of shot for shot Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, right? It immediately sent me back there, and when when I did the research and saw, okay, Evil Dead, easy, slasher film, lakes, all that stuff, Friday the 13th, all the slasher stuff. And then I saw Resident Evil, and it didn't immediately click. It's not the Resident Evil movies, it's the Resident Evil games because of the zombie crazy family. And I was like, oh, right. Resident Evil 6, right? 7 was 7?
7 is the family.
Okay. So
which
7.
oddly came out after this.
Yeah, it came after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, this immediately goes into.
But Amorata, canonically in the series of Resident Evil, timeline wise, it would be before this movie, year wise. Yeah, with the way the timeline works in Resident Evil, yeah, 8 goes back to how. It's a whole.
Yeah, 8. Well, no, 8's after 7 because Ethan goes through the stuff in 7, and he is in 8. He's the main protagonist. So all that happens. But a lot of the stuff that you learn in 7 or in 8 happens before 7.
7, yeah. Because I was thinking that didn't they mention somewhere that in 8 when the people come to take away the baby and everything, wasn't it supposed to be late 2000s before 2010, I think.
Oh, I do not remember.
It was. But anyway, yeah, it would be around this time.
Yeah,
in retrospect.
The family. Yeah, okay. So you're just meaning what years the games happened in versus what year the movie happened in. Yeah, that would have been canonically before this movie occurred.
Correct.
In the games. So the games would have occurred if they were real before the movie occurred.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what I was thinking.
I'm waiting because I need you guys as an expertise. When they go down to the basement. Hey, I'm just trying to keep this on rails because I've been guesting on a different show. And every time I go on, me and the host of the show kind of derail the show. Talking about stuff that has nothing to do with the movie at hand. So I'm sorry, Gary, if you're there listening. So they go downstairs, and this is, to me, it's sort of the bibs and bobs of what they had in the basement was from somewhere else. So the bride, the bride's gown, is it from which movie? Because I thought this was different movies.
I mean, it is a whole bunch. It's not even just different movies, but also just different tales in general. Yeah. So a lot of them can be just straight up. I mean, obviously that's supposed to be right. Hellraiser.
Yeah. That's what I thought. They just couldn't do overt a box.
Yeah,
Ready or Not, they had the
Ready or Not. Basically, that they did the puzzle box essentially. Yeah.
And this one, it's Go ahead.
Oh, they couldn't copy these things just totally rip them and copy them. But the fact they did such a good job of coming close enough that you could guess easily is kind of cool.
Yeah, and this movie is all about, Mev, your favorite thing, setups and payoffs. Where we get to see every single one of these. And what's great about it too is that all of the actual monsters, outside of the ones that are direct monsters like werewolves and zombies, they are amalgams with a twist. The Hellraiser guy with the I guess you'd call him Sawhead.
Yeah.
And we had the family from God, how many different things. Most notably, that'd be the most recent kind of series would be Strangers, and obviously The Purge with the masks on.
Yeah, we'll get to that. What I was going for is the fact that at the end of it all, they kind of get to the book, whether it's by design or not, and I was like, okay.
No, because any one of them, it had Kurt actually blown in the conch, then that would have released the merman, Which exactly, he's like, he's so close, he had his lips on it.
Yeah, and I like, okay, it's sort of an inside joke about the merman. Do you have any idea? Because I couldn't find anything about it.
Well,
couldn't
it's
find
actually a play off. Well, what's the funniest thing is out of the monster verse, the creature from the Black Lagoon, is treated as like the most. I would guess you could call it lame out of all of the monster, and it also did the worst overall and actually gross over time.
All right, we come to my favorite scene. This scene, I giggled so much with this thing about having first of all, you mentioned it's such straight up a Deadpool. And the bets and the fact that it's all about office politics and no, we're looking at this and it's like, oh, and then I paused. I was like, okay, werewolves, alien beasts, zombies, wraiths, mutants, dragon bats, vampires.
Come on, dismemberment goblins.
Right.
That would have been the best.
The sugar plum fairy right there over his shoulder.
Yeah.
Yes. Lesting trees. It's right about there. I think you can see my cursor right there.
Sander did bring up probably one of like the dark horse, oddly enough, right by his bicep there, the unicorn.
Yeah.
Which I thought was just like, this is a nice touch.
And the whole point is not like it's personal bets. It's all like different departments. They decide what they're going to go, because the black side, it's the monsters, and the blue sides is the specific departments that are actually betting on the thing. And do you know what it says in the red?
Ronald the intern.
Ronald the
intern, because he's an unpaid intern, so he's written in red rather than
blue. Because even says that it's like, what about the betting pool? Like, I don't know, whatever I have to say to end this conversation. when he's talking to Steve earlier, and what's great is that actor, he was in the later series of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah, another Joss Whedon callback.
And once this whole exchange ends and we've got the two guys, Bradley Whitfield,
Gary and Steve.
Yeah. So Gary and Steve go like watch their screens, and we suddenly have sort of, okay, in Berlin we've got this, Rangoon we got this, and Kyoto is straight up Ringu. Yeah, it's straight up the Ringu monster. And the little girl's not fighting it.
Screaming in terror.
She looks like Samara, but it's more like the Grudge in the way.
Yeah, it's a cross between the two, really.
Yeah. I think they were doing that just for copyright purposes. We're like, if we mash them all together, nobody will get pissed off. If they can't say they're one of them, then we're safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to look for. Well, basically, the first kill starts off with the most basic of basic slasher film tropes: is whoever has sex dies.
Yep.
Well, I was gonna say they do have the entire bit too, where they have the buildup of Jesse being the scholar, about how he's able to translate the Latin that was written in the diary.
And
and he has. Marty has a better line later after they were making out. He just goes, "You better watch out. He's got a husband's bulge."
Yeah,
from the diary. But no, that was interceding that, and then after, when there is the whole bit where Gary and Steve and the other people are watching it, and they're just like perverted old men. And because everybody watching them about it, and she goes, "It's a little bit chilly." Everybody goes, "Aw." Damn it.
Yeah.
They put that extra bit of light breaking through.
Yeah, just to make sure they'll have a good look. But you know,
I don't think that Bradley Whitford has ever looked creepier, except for maybe in Billy Madison. He goes,
Oh yeah,
when Anna Hutchinson takes her top off and he just goes, score.
yeah. Well, you know, old crazy men. Like, I don't blame them. I mean, I guess it's Pretty Girl. They're old. We're horny. We're all horny. We're men. I love the fact that the redneck zombie family,
torture family, the red leg zombie torture family.
Torture family, right? Yeah. Torture family. I love the fact that one of the contraptions is a chain or a bear trap
on a chain.
Yes.
I was like, whoever thought that up is a genius, because I'm like, that is never actually. I don't think it's ever been utilized before.
All right, this picture comes to one of my my side notes that I've saved up because I learned from the best.
Ooh.
So the people who were in charge of the makeup, the visual, like makeup visual effects, is a guy, and he's married to a very famous actress, Helena Langenkamp, the girl from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, she actually was on set helping them do the makeup.
That's cool.
Which I found very cool, because you have like Nightmare on Elm Street kind of creds. You got the Evil Dead stuff. You've got the Resident Evil stuff all wrapped up together. And like, yeah, this could have been really special. And it kind of was, right?
One thing I wanted to do specifically for this film, as HorrorAmorata, you're a big fan of horror films as I am.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna just like see the killers and just kind of name off a couple of genres or films that they come from. Now I'm thinking for the zombie family, obviously inspired a bit by Jason. I'm thinking also Hills Have Eyes and Wrong Turn.
Oh, they're also, I mean, it's also very because it's already been mentioned. Why can't I remember? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. So I mean, you have the family there, and did we mention House of a Thousand Corpses?
We have
no, that's a good one too.
We have not.
Oh, that's cool, boy. That's a movie that Mep has not seen yet, and I want to.
Nope, I don't want to watch it. Rob Zombie, and I don't care for Rob Zombie. Yeah, I know.
I was gonna say
it's a good movie. I mean,
from The Office and Chris Hardwick die, which I'm pretty cool with that.
I do want to say one thing. Did you say Helena Langenkamp? Because I'm pretty sure it's Heather Langenkamp.
Heather. Did I say Helena? It's Heather. Sorry, I don't know.
It's okay.
See, even the puppies were like, "Why did you get that wrong, Meth?"
Because I'm bad with names, I guess. The one thing that was interesting to me, because we already know there's a connection. We already know they're half controlling everything. Everything is they're monitoring everything. They're controlling who the monsters are, because we get it at this point. We don't know it's fully under a dome and at a secret location. Once the first kill happens, we have that.
Oh yeah, we see it set up in the right. And actually, what's so interesting too is the fact that Gary goes through almost a reciting of a prayer to the old gods.
Yep.
Yes.
That they don't say in any other instance.
Yeah, I think it's to not be repetitive.
Or maybe it's just because that's supposed to be the start of the ritual as the first death.
I think it's an homage to the beginning of what's happening. I imagine if they had gotten to the end, there would have probably been an ending piece that would have, but since they didn't, obviously, so.
I can't really show the other stuff, but it goes through these wheels, and you see the amount of sort of half a pound of flesh in blood, but it's like a pound of flesh that you have to pay to the old gods or whatever. And it goes through a series of elaborate spaces, sort of like Blade.
That's exactly, Mep. I was going to bring that up. It reminded me so much of the little Magra scene. So much.
I think I can show this. It's not super terrible. I just wanted to have it on screen. It really, once he started the thing, and I kind of get it. Okay, it's sort of a ritual. I get where they're going with this. I still don't know what's going on. I get where they're going. And once we have this, I was like, oh, there's a super elaborate thing that is going on, but I don't understand how it ties in to what we saw on the monitors. So the Kyoto stuff and the rest of the places. And this threw me for a loop. This half La Magra scene that's going on. And I was like, okay, this is going to be really interesting. Let's see where this goes, Cotton. And then we have the stoner dude.
Oh, Marty, I love that because the whispers were that are being piped in. It was just like, you should go for a walk.
Yeah, and he's
I'm not a puppet, man.
Yeah. He's
I'm the boss of my own brain. I'm gonna go for a walk.
And he's completely in character. You would expect him to do exactly this because he's such a stoner. And at this point, I was like, oh, he's really gonna beat the system, right? Is he gonna survive? This is where the point where I said, is he the final girl? Maybe. And we've got like a twist and turn here.
Mhm.
Well, because he had that moment with Dana earlier where he's like, well, the control is like puppets, like puppet. And then it seems as though he had that one kind of break where the drugs took hold. The Pop-Tarts. Did you say Pop-Tarts?
And they go into this mode where Chris Hemsworth character comes back. It's like, oh, they killed her. We need to go. We need to run, or we need to. He tells them they need to split up, which is like, have you seen Scream?
Well, before that, they actually have the you gotta love the the ballsy killer move of walking in, just chucking Jules' head at them.
Yes.
Which can't show it. It just happens.
I can't show it.
But we have Kurt saying, no. What we have to do is we have to board up all the windows, board up all the doors, and most importantly, we have to stay together. And that's when Steve just goes, oh man. And Gary goes, don't worry, watch the master at work. And he pumps in the gas and silences like subliminal suggestions. Say like, no, we need to split up. We can cover more ground that way.
And I was like, have you not seen Scream or Scream 2, where they specifically say in Scream, this is my sort of pet peeve with Scream 2, where the dude, the funny guy that survived, basically the stoner, that
Jamie Kennedy's character, I can't remember.
Yeah. He basically tells you the plot of the movie, and they put it in the trailer. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Why are you doing this? I already know what's going to happen in the second movie. Why?
Because apparently, especially when he says, it's a sequel, so no one's safe. So it's like, so you're going to die. And they had it directly in the trailer. It's like,
yeah. And of course, as soon as they split off, like stoner dude is going outside the fucking cabin again.
Oh, this is after. This is before.
After. No. This is after. This is after they split up.
Oh, sorry. This is when he gets when they all get broken off, and he hits the guy with the bomb.
He broke it off. He hits the zombie, the murder zombie. I'm not gonna say the whole thing. The zombie, right? Yeah. He hits him with the head, and then he goes like back up. It's like, oh my god. He runs away, and you kind of think, well, the zombie got him.
Well, yeah, they have that stereotypical kind of twist that is more prevalent in modern horror than it is in old 80s horror, where they would have like, oh wow, this character's dead. No, they're not.
Yeah.
Like you have to see them dead. Plus, to me, my alarm bells were going off because she got the ritual right after, he didn't. And they kind of made it a point that they're going to do this. And was like, okay, there's a twist here. And like I said, I already thought he's going to be the final boy, girl, whatever.
Well, also, he was the one who found the equipment in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm on a reality TV show. My parents are going to think I'm such a burnout.
And the thing is, our girl here goes down to the basement yet again. And
what have we talked about last week about Barbarian and about basements? When you see a kill room,
Leave.
like,
Don't go in there.
Out of the kill room.
yeah,
Christ.
and again, we had that little puzzle box coming in with Hellraiser, and now we've got the same chains as Hellraiser. And I was like, come on. It's just make the connection. Please make the connection.
Someone would have said, I have extra lights to show you. Would have lost.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
And of course, wait. Yeah, well, I can show this, I guess.
Oh, and we do get a little side bit with Drew, with Gary and Steve, where the ground is shaking, where it's like, oh, we're starting to get the reason behind this because the old ones are stirring.
Yes, there's like every time they switch back, there's always an extra sort of like the real story is the office bit rather than the cabin bit, right?
Yep.
It's because it's the overarching story is basically what is going on with the old gods or the old ones or the harbinger of doom. That is the real story. That within it you've got the cabin stuff, which is the mundane slasher film that you have. All along we've got these two coming in and hooking up together and actually making sure that the zombies don't get them.
Well, it's one of the Buckners that they successfully actually kill.
Yes.
Because in Dana's line, of course, like she has the typical kind of like quippy sort of line where and she read the diary. It's like, you like pain? How's that for you? And she stabs him with the crowbar. And then what's great too is I love the fact that she stabs him to death after he's still down there. Well, seemingly to death anyway. Yep. And as soon as she moves away, it cuts back to Gary and Steve, who are panicking a little bit, and then it cuts back to them in the basement, and there's actually a charge where the knife is electrically shocked, so she drops the knife. Like they thought about every meticulous detail that could actually hinder them in any way or shape or form. And we also have, I think, probably one of my favorite scenes before we get to the RV bit, where we have Gary and Steve, where the Japanese kids in Kyoto, they exorcise the girl and they turn her into the frog as a spirit. Yeah. And we have Richard Jenkins as Gary giving the best line. Just go, fuck you, Japanese kids.
I found it hilarious because this whole bit where the kids kind of banded together and managed to contain this ghost, this whatever it is, and it made Gary and Steve nervous. And you're still don't know the entire repercussions of this whole thing, but you know there's something big going on, and this is a fuck up.
Yeah. Well, we do know from the very beginning of the movie that Japan was the only other site that hadn't failed yet. And apparently Japan had always succeeded.
100% success rate.
So did America. So yeah, so when they failed, and it's like, oh, it's all on us, or something terrible is going to happen, but we don't know what yet.
Yeah, and this is the I thought it was funny too.
He's yelling at those poor little girls, and all they did was save their own lives.
Yeah.
And I'm also just thinking of him as the father from Step Dads as well. It's like he came home and his kid was still John C. Reilly.
Oh my god.
So our three sort of survivors, the stoner is supposedly dead. Our three survivors managed to get into the truck and head out of the cabin, right? They get into the car and then there's something blocking their way. Right? So the tunnel they came out of is blocked. Again, harking back to Evil Dead, where Bruce Campbell's character can't go back to where he came from. He's locked in. And this is, of course, where our boy Hemsworth.
Well, what's really important about that too is the fact that there was a clear fuck up. Where there was the panic to blow it.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because they were getting into the tunnel and
and it seems like there were other forces were at work, because even the people that were on the demo crew were saying, no, there was a glitch in the system and the charges never went off.
Yeah. And it just kind of goes off right before they get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So our people are stuck. What they do an evil Knievel. This is the point where I was like, he's gonna like fall to his death.
It reminds me so much of like, I was thinking of when I was watching it for the first time. I'm thinking like, is this going to be a Homer Simpson trying to jump the gorge on the skateboard? I'm gonna make it.
No. I was thinking more of a Wile E. Coyote bit,
Yeah.
And this is the point for me, and this is quite late into the movie. To be honest, this is exactly an hour into an hour and a half movie, where I finally got a piece of what the fuck is going on, and is him slamming into that field kind of a thing. I was like, okay, I'm completely lost now. I don't know what is going on. This movie, at this point, to me, this movie got weird. And we're half an hour before the end of it. How could it get even weirder? What is going on? Right? And I have not seen this in any other movie, because this movie really pays homage to other films, especially in a cabin. But it's not the same. It's something like sort of completely off kilter, but it's not a parody, and it's not making fun of it in terms of, it's not a satire of it. It's sort of like, and it's carving its own path. And again, I was already engaged. I was already watching. Now I'm lost. I'm in it, but I'm lost. I don't know what to think anymore, because I know the tropes. This is so far off the trope. It can't even see the trope. The trope is a dot to me.
That's really what I really love about this film is, in so many ways, it's a love letter with how many homages there are that are inherent in the film. And just with the way that the characters even react to a lot of what's happening around them, and the fact that even they themselves are aware, once they have enough lucidity to actually rationalize the concept, they're immediately aware of what's going on.
Yeah. And so our two remaining guys are in the van, and they're heading back, and of course the zombie redneck family is coming back, and we have a dispatching, we'll call it that.
Jesse's trying to like, don't worry, we're going to drive all the way. Like, out in the woods, we'll find a way around this.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention about the dome concept. This was almost verbatim ripped off of Under the Dome by Stephen
Yeah.
King. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen Under the Dome. So sue me.
You don't have to see Under the Dome, but oh my God, don't try to read it either, because it's like, I think it's 1,300 pages.
Trust me.
It took Stephen King, I think, 25 years to finish writing Under the Dome.
Holy shit.
I don't even have time for the stuff that I need to watch and listen to and read and all that stuff. But of course, because he was driving, this whole van goes straight into the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And our girl barely makes it through. Barely makes it through.
That's the great thing too, is there's that juxtaposition where they have this horrible thing happening to her, and they're going into the water, but everyone's like, it's fucking party time.
Yes,
we fucking did it. Come on, guys, we fucking did it. Let's go.
We win.
It was Steve who was like, I don't know, I was kind of rooting for her. And then he looks over and these guys walk in with all the booze going, tequila is my lady.
Yeah. Right after this. And the security guy was like, why are we celebrating again? Remind me.
And Amy Acker's line as Wendy Lynn, they're celebrating. I'm drinking.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the whole point. And of course, they don't pay attention to the monitors because they're a little bit, they're a little bit incompetent.
And they do express the fact that she doesn't have to die. She's a bonus.
Yeah. It's as long as she suffers, that's the only important
That's
part.
the point.
They already assumed that Marty was dead.
Yes. But like I said, they don't actually use the contraption again to make sure the blood goes into, the blood god, I guess.
They're not corn, okay?
They're not
corn. They're not corn, okay?
They're not corn.
No blood for the blood god, falls for the skull throne here, okay?
I want to get to,
I do have to say, I feel so bad for Kristen Connolly in that shot, because she had to have been freezing.
Oh my God.
That is correct.
Yeah.
She did not have fun filming that particular scene where she was in the lake for a few seconds and then she was completely wet on the deck again for a very few seconds, but she had to, be wet.
The cover shots
good.
Going back. Yeah. You can't dry off and be like, nah.
And of course, because the intern was on the board, he was at the party.
Yep.
Of course he was at the party.
Remember when he said it was the zombie redneck torture family, and he goes, yeah, because he was with maintenance because they won.
And of course, Marty is still alive. And our girl finds Marty. And Marty discovers something.
Well, Marty, the second time, his bong has saved them. Because as he's swinging it backwards, he's able to almost lasso the bear trap around his bong.
Yep. And he discovers something odd about the cabin. He discovers an elevator, or more like a secret room leading into an elevator, and he's like, what is happening?
And when they get down there, they see the Buckner that's been completely just utterly destroyed. He goes, I kind of dismembered that guy with the trowel. I'm like, that's a lot of work, man.
Yes.
Super special weed.
Apparently. I didn't know they put PCP in his weed too, apparently.
Friday too? God damn it. There's that moment where they step out and the zombie arm falls off. It's like, fucking zombie arm. Because
that happened. No, what's funny is the zombie arm ends up saving him when the guy comes in, where it's just like, no, you come with me. I have to kill him. And the zombie arm gets him. It's like, thank you, zombie arm, as they leave.
Yeah. All right. Before
I
we
was going to say real quick though, as we do have that one interior pan shot where we do get to see some of the how the actual elevators work and they function, they move both vertically and horizontally, and we
All
have
the little
them
rooms.
panning up against like the werewolf shot, the specter.
Yep.
Then there's the Cenobite and the ballerina. And that's when they have the realization we're like, oh, they made us choose how we die.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to a specific point. Yeah. I guess. I couldn't get the werewolf not to move.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's hard, but yeah, the specter kind of, you see the arm, and then when it touches that glass, it kind of it dissipates. Sorry. I just like that visual effect that it was going on, because they didn't use like your typical stuff with this particular, the specter ghost kind of thing. They did use more of a video game style specter rather than a movie specter. I did appreciate that, even though again it's 2000, end of 2009
Mm-hmm.
when they actually did this. Or
A lot of this made me feel like really sad because a lot of the way they made some of the monsters in this, I would have loved to see full movies on some of these monsters, the way they made them.
Yeah. This is when it kind of congeals back together, because it's sort of a foggy apparition, and then it congeals into this crazy specter, and then it kind of dissipates back again, just to give you that it's just that tiny little jump scare. It's not a biggie, but if you're like not ready for it, you
get that little jolt.
Taking it back a little bit. Again, if you're not ready for it.
Meph, would it be possible for you to find the overarching big pan shot where they show all the monsters in the different cages?
I'm trying to get it.
Okay.
Wow.
I was going to say, because that's the only time we're going to be able to really talk about it, because there's just blood everywhere afterward, and YouTube no likey.
But that whole the ballerina thing where it's, they did this with a real actress with makeup, but it harkens back to a doll trope that's been used to. It's like an Annabelle, but that's a movie. But I've seen it in other video games. I've seen it mostly in video games where the doll, specifically a female doll, that is the scary kind of crazy demonic possessed kind of doll, where that's where you get your jump scares from.
But it's almost like that combined with Critters.
Yes.
Kind of.
Just with the mouths and everything. I was going to say on the ballerina bit, I think this may have a little bit inspired. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I can't remember. I'm just drawing a blank now. Radio Silence's new. They also made Ready or Not, Meph. Their new film. Damn it, I can't remember the name of it now. It just came out recently. It's about a little girl who's a ballerina who gets kidnapped by some people, and some bad things happen to the kidnappers. And I'm like, oh, so did they get the inspiration from this shot in a way?
I have no idea. Like I said, I thought it was a trope that wasn't in movies, that was mostly coming from like the video game side of things. Because there's a whole host of these small indie games, not totally like, it's not Resident Evil, that's a AAA, right? But there's a whole host of little creepy ass horror jump scare games that are all about this, where they disorient you, they switch rooms on you, you turn around, it's first person, so when you turn around, they immediately do a jump scare. There's a whole host of these little tiny games. I say tiny, but there's like a 4-hour, 5-hour game that uses a doll trope or a fucked up ballerina, all that stuff.
I mean,
I've seen mostly there.
dolls have actually been regarded as fairly creepy for a very, very long time.
Yes.
I actually had a doll when I was a little girl that was it was built in such a way that her eyes would follow you. Literally, it would look like she was watching you as you went through the room. I had to sleep with her on her stomach so that I could get to sleep, because otherwise she was staring at me all night. Because her eyes didn't close either, which was even creepier. But a lot of, I mean, the creepy doll thing is it's almost embedded in the human psyche in some way.
Don't worry,
with the whole
Amorata. I had the same thing. When I was a child, my aunt got me a Cabbage Patch when I was 4 years old and named it a certain name.
Chucky.
The same year the movie came out.
That's funny.
Yeah.
At least she didn't get you one of those kid brothers or
My buddies.
Yeah, my buddy. Yeah,
My
and the little
buddy and me.
sisters. God, those things were so fucking weird. But no, this was even worse than a Cabbage Patch. I mean, Cabbage Patches were creepy on their own level, but this thing was just an entirely new level of what the fuck.
Yeah. Well, it was so odd too. He even had the same kind of outfit with the blue jumper and everything.
Oh God,
That's
awesome. That's great.
Thanks for nightmares. I looked it up. The movie is Abigail. If you haven't seen it, Amorata, you'll
I've
love
heard
it.
of it. I haven't
On my
seen
feed.
it.
I've
You'll
seen
love
it
it.
pop up on my feed. Yeah, I
It's
know what
really good. It's really good.
So yeah, okay, I get it. I got it. Another one on the list. Damn it. All right. Before we play our second game, I want to bring up this because you mentioned this, how the whole elevator kind of, it's not really an elevator, but it is an elevator, but it's also kind of a vault. And to me, when I watched this, the imagery, the first thing I thought about was actually a cube. Where you have sort of rooms
absolutely.
moving side to side, disorienting you. But in this case, it's like it's a vault, basically, of a vault of horrors with everything. So you have a Cthulhu monster right up there. You got the centipede up there. You got a weird fucking family up there.
Yeah.
Got
You've
the
got
Shining Twins down in the
Shining
middle.
Twins.
Yeah, that they the Shining Twins right there, the Spectre. There's something here.
That's the giant rattlesnake, which is basically
giant-
kind of an homage to Anaconda.
Yeah.
Or Congo. I haven't seen the Congo monster yet. You bastards in the chat. He's up there. He's right there. Right here. Congo monster. God damn it. It's all you guys. It's gonna be a freaking meme in the chat though. Yeah, the zombie hand guy. It was to me, it was half disturbing, half hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. So the zombie hand was out to kill, so it didn't really matter who it killed. It just wanted to kill.
Yep.
Right?
That's what I find interesting too, is when we see all the monsters come out. Know the fact that the monsters they never attack each other.
Yeah.
They only go after people.
Yeah. Sort of like either it's conditioning or pre-programming, whatever it is.
I think of it more of a Return of the Living Dead thing, where they're always after something specific in human nature, where they want something in humans that each other don't necessarily possess. I mean, in Night of the Living or Return of the Living Dead, obviously it's brains, but these things need something from humanity that they can't get with each other. So they don't even necessarily sense each other; they just sense humanity.
You know what humanity needs? It needs our second game. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
That's what we call a segue.
Thank you. Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good or both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Rocky 3 or The Burbs?
I'd probably go with The Burbs.
Yeah, that's such an easy one for me. Even though Rocky 3 is still good, don't get me wrong. The Burbs, I think, is probably Tom Hanks's most underrated film. I love that movie. It's
Monsters and
fantastic.
Mazes also makes that list, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what's crazy? I'm gonna go with The Burbs because I
Wow.
watched it recently. It is
Fantastic.
such an annoying thing that this movie is not as well known as it is as a Tom Hanks movie. And again, we talked about the lull of his career during the late 80s, early 90s, right before he got to Philadelphia. We talked about this off.
We were talking about it before the show because I found a spot where I can watch most of the old episodes of Tales from the Crypt Amarata, and I just like, there's my day.
So, and Tom Hanks was on that show, so we kind of went into that. Plus, we're going to do a special month next month. So, The Burbs, it's half a comedy and half a scary movie because you don't really know until like almost the very end, and then it turns on you and like,
Yep.
Definitely.
Rock 3 is a really good movie. I Have the Tiger, all that stuff. Again, I have recently seen it too. My kids seen it and they love it. I'm gonna go with The Burbs. The Devil's Candy.
I told you there was an original Scarface.
And the original Scarface. I have not seen the original Scarface.
And I don't think you even seen The Devil's Candy?
I have not seen the Devil's Candy.
I've not seen that one either.
Really? Okay. Okay. We'll switch both.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. I would go with Nosferatu.
Now, I have a point of contention, ladies and gentlemen. Midnight's Edge, the boys of Midnight's Edge, Andre and Tom took the original Nosferatu. It's basically Tom did it, but took the original Nosferatu and updated it to 4K, released it on their Midnight's Edge classics. Go watch it. I started to watch it. Tom did a fantastic job redoing the movie and adding a new soundtrack to it because the original soundtrack does not exist anymore. They also did a full retrospective on Nosferatu. It's about 45 minutes. It's worth your time. Go watch it. It's Midnight's Edge Classics. Fantastic work by both of them. Nosferatu, the original, Godfather Part 2. Hamarata?
Nosferatu.
Feelings?
I'm, as much as I love old horror, especially silent, I'm really, really apprehensive about the remake that's coming up. Hamarata.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings, but things of it look good, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know. I was gonna say I felt the same way about the Dracula mythos, but Last Voyage of the Demeter was really good.
Really, I've heard mixed things about that.
I really enjoyed it. That being said, though, I still have to go with The Godfather Part 2. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and Beth, we talked about it when we did our Mafioso month. It's such a good movie, and it still stands up.
Yeah, like I said, recently seen Nosferatu. I'm gonna have to go with Godfather Part 2. They're both really iconic, and anyone who has not seen Nosferatu, you have to watch it. If you even get a different copy, but go watch Tom's edit of it. It's really good. It really captures what they were going for. I think Godfather Part 2 for me.
Yeah, send me a link to that.
Yeah.
Later, sure. I'll have to watch that
after the show. It's worth your time. It's really worth your time. I'm gonna go with.
I have not seen that one. No,
I've no. John Q. I have not seen John Q again. Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
The Professional, or Leon, and The Hobbit: Desolation of Smog. That's the second one.
Yes.
I would much rather see The Professional. As far as I'm concerned, the Hobbit movies shouldn't exist.
Feelings?
I wholeheartedly agree that it should have just been 2 movies at the very, 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 very most, because they took a very, very small book and they just went, Here's a shitload of filler for no reason.
Oh, well, I mean, they crammed in shit from the other book that does books that don't even happen in the same time and then made up other stuff on top of it. And it's like, oh my God, why did you do this?
Yeah.
Makes me angry every time.
Definitely, it's one of Luc Besson's best films besides Fifth Element, I would say.
Leon came up on my television randomly 2 days ago. It's
Ooh.
fantastic.
Yes, it is a very good
And I
It
will
is
to say, it is
so good.
It is some of the best, the funniest dubs.
It
States-wise, Gary Oldman's rant, I don't have time for this motherfucking bullshit. I don't have time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
Yep,
I remember it. It was just...
it is still there. Legends of the Fall or Highlander?
Definitely more of a Highlander person.
Okay. Feelings?
Born to be King is we're the prince of the universe, baby.
There's no question. Saw or Cold Mountain?
Both are torturous in different ways.
Amrata? It's an easy choice, right?
Saw.
Feelings?
Yeah, that's very easy. Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Saw. And I'm not that guy. I have not seen The Seventh Seal.
It's a fun movie.
Really?
Oh, there
That's
we
a good movie.
These, both of them are terrible movies. Amrata, which one will you watch?
I would much rather watch Waterworld. At least I get to see what's his face over there.
Kevin Costner?
Kevin
Yes, that
Costner?
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dennis Hopper acting weird. Wow, that's a change.
Hey, I like Dennis Hopper acting weird.
I know that's his stick though.
That's true.
All right.
But
so,
you know, to be fair, Nick Cage is Nick Cage in all movies. So
now,
And speaking of, you finally got to see Longlegs, Meth. It's great, right? The movie's so good.
it's awesome.
So good.
Really good. And people gave me shit in the comments. "Oh, it's not very that good." It's like, all right.
Yeah, no, it's
cool.
fucking awesome. I
guess
love
it's
that
really
movie.
good. Not we, but you were not here because I pre-recorded a podcast about Gone in 60 Seconds. Nick Cage has moments in it that he's Nick Cage, but they're so few and far between.
Yeah.
Because he's basically trying to play the responsible brother to Giovanni Ribisi. It's so bad. It is so bad. I'm going to watch Waterworld just for the fun.
And also, to be fair, I think it's the only film ever where that shows the recycling of someone's urine.
yeah,
Yep.
Whatever. I don't want to even think about it. Gone in 60 Seconds. The best part of it is Vinnie Jones, I guess.
Yeah, Vinny
Rat
Jones
Race.
is in that.
Or 25th Hour.
I've never seen 25th Hour.
All right.
It's a pretty good movie.
I've seen it, but we'll switch.
now it's done for me.
I'm
I would have to go with Rat Race.
Okay. Feelings?
Definitely Kickboxer. I really did not like Rat Race. It drove me up the wall. It made me actually angry. You know why? It had the same kind of humor as The Naked Gun, which you know I hate.
Oh, I love The Naked Gun. That's a great
I
movie.
know.
The problem with Rat Race, it was trying to be a remake of Cannonball Run, but it wasn't a Cannonball Run.
I thought it was a remake of It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World.
It is. Aha.
It's a good thing I didn't like Mad, Mad, Mad World.
You see, I like that movie too.
Whatever. Kickboxer.
I guess I'm just easy to make laugh. What can I say?
Last
What?
last one. Sorry, I didn't see the.
No, it's fine. It's a fun
right.
movie.
Fantastic Beast and Where to Find Them. That's the first one. Or Gone Baby Gone.
I don't think I've seen Gone Baby Gone.
Gone Baby Gone. But
I would be yes. Here we go.
Oh, this
Better.
is easier. I'll go with Dr. No.
Even I would agree with that, Meph. Yeah, Dr. No.
Dr. No, it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's an easy choice for me. That's not because it's a Bond movie. It's a Sean Connery Bond movie. The Sean Connery Bond movie, other than Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Yeah. So, easy. Such an easy choice. But yeah, Gone Baby Gone, if it was the other two. It's a better film. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is, I don't want to say it's a cash grab, but
it felt like a cash grab.
And it's the problem for me. It's become a real big stickler for me for 20 years now. I am so done with prequels. It's not even funny. If you do a prequel for something, it has to be really good for me to be engaged with it or even give it the light of day. It is it's not even in my realm. I watched Fantastic Beasts when it came out. I don't think it was I watched it on a streaming service, probably as soon as it came out on a streaming service, and I detested it really because
I was gonna say for HD. Now I can't remember. It was, if you liked him in that, you may like him in the ping pong movie that he was in.
It's Eddie Redmayne. And I feel sorry for the guy because
wasn't talking about Eddie Redmayne. I was talking about the other, the heavier set gentleman who's in that.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even know his name.
Balls Out. Yeah, that's it, Paul. Hey, ever want to see Chris? So bad. That would be so bad. Sorry.
I don't even know where you went to, dude.
He's somewhere entirely different. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it just makes me laugh out loud.
Okay.
The villain in Balls Out will just be like, when you see him in his actual full attire, you're like, what was he thinking? Why would you take this role?
So both our last boy and our last girl are in this compound, and they're trying to get out. But what they do is release all the monsters, which causes a big problem. Because
already started.
Yeah, pandemonium is correct. Yeah. Yeah, can I show this? I'll show it for a second because it has a lot of let's say department heads.
Woohoo!
Yes, I did. I went there. It also had all the animals. So you had the big snake, and you had the werewolf, the scorpions, and the killer bats.
What's funny too is if you look, you see the gremlins.
Yeah,
because they rip a guy in half.
Yes. And you've got everything. You've got the specters coming in, the zombies everywhere, all the good stuff.
The big thing where it showed the bit about the doctors. You see the eyeless doctors in footage later. Obviously, the killer clown, and obviously, yes, of course, the unicorn. Which I loved out of nowhere, just impales a guy. Where you're thinking, oh, they kept a good animal. No, never mind.
No. I mean, just because it has a horn on its head doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, it had to be a killer clown. It had to be there, right? Now, I'm not showing a lot because, like I said, from this point on, there's a ton of blood.
Yeah.
Which, YouTube does not like at all. But let's just say this. From a full-on, a regular slasher movie with a little bit of blood, it goes balls to the walls. I don't know. World War Z, I guess. It just goes completely crazy. I've got this shot, I guess.
Yes, the merman. Oh, I
Merman.
love that ending. Whoever's just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, and then he gets his face eaten off by it. It's great.
Yeah.
Which is great too is they have Gary mentioning how the fact like you don't want to, especially like the cleanup after a merman's a mess. And you see why, because he literally has the blood shoot out of his blowhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a beluga whale crossed with a man, as opposed to what you would normally think of as a merman, and then everything shoots out his back. It's great.
Yeah, because Amorata, when he said merman, I was thinking, King Triton from like the Little Mermaid, like half fish but really jack dude on top with a trident or something.
Yeah, and not a half fish, half creature of a black lagoon creature. Yeah.
To me, it wasn't. To me, it was sort of the same surprise in the Harry Potter movie where I think it was in the Goblet of Fire where they go down the lake and the mermaids are not the beautiful mermaids that you see from Walt Disney. It's crazy fish people that want to eat you, and they have like sharpened teeth and all that stuff. So once our two remaining heroes kind of find their way downstairs into the Lamagra room, we'll call it the Harbinger room, basically.
Yeah.
Right. They get there and they kind of see the full extent of what was going on. And with all the blood sacrifice, with all the stuff, and of course, the dancing men with the goblet of wine/blood in the background, which is absolutely great. Absolutely great. And this is where the director comes in, and we kind of get the explanation that this whole thing was just to keep the old ones at bay in order for them to not take over the entire planet. And that was the whole point. And this is to me, Joss Whedon going back to sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer idea of underneath the school there's a hellmouth.
Yeah.
And this is it. And now you realize, okay, all the rituals, all the stuff, it was just to sacrifice people in order to keep keep everything at bay.
Yep.
And because they've released all the monsters and they haven't done the ritual itself, then the old gods are angry.
Yeah. And that just as an aside too, even with this big exposition dump from the director, we have a bit of levity with that, and the Virgin, and look at Dana, and all she has to say is, well, we work with what we have.
Yeah, and the whole point is, okay,
yes, that's Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, it is. It was. It is still.
It's still Sigourney Weaver. Yeah.
Yeah, it still is Sigourney Weaver. The whole point is like they're facing with the choice. So one of them has to die, and one of them has the gun. That's the girl. And at this point, right before everything ends, right, I was thinking, yeah, she has to shoot him because it's a horror film. It usually ends with the last girl staying last, filled with blood, right, running through. We talked about this when we discussed Ready or Not. It's pretty obvious, but then instead of sacrificing the Virgin, she sacrifices the director.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's great too. Is she says, "Well, I'm sorry," and as the werewolf moves behind her, well, I'm sorry too, as it attacks her. And what's great is because I think if the werewolf wouldn't attacked, she says afterward, "I'm sorry. I don't think I would have shot you." I think she would have.
I think so.
I think she would have.
Oh, as an aside, asking if Goddard went to direct more stuff. Oddly enough, the next film that he directed was a really good one with Chris Hemsworth in it. Bad Times at El Royale.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
That's a fun movie. Oh, that's a fun movie.
It just goes to show that Chris Hemsworth is a working actor, right? He's done quite a bit of stuff that I mostly have not seen. We have that whole fight with the zombie kid as well coming in, right?
Yep.
They managed to kill the director, kill the werewolf, kill everybody else. It's just them. And they're not sacrificing each other. So the whole place rumbles straight into the credits, basically. And you're left with, the world has come to an end, I guess.
Well, they do have that thing again where she says, I don't think Kurt even has a cousin.
Yeah.
And the last thing they lament is, man, I wish I could have seen him. Giant old gods. And then we have the giant hand come up and slam down. And that would have been a fun weekend.
Yeah, that's the last line of the entire movie. That would have been a fun weekend.
Smash cuts to credits with some 9 Inch Nails. Let's go.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Yep. That kind of brings us to the end. Again, really enjoyed myself watching this movie. Had fun with it. Had that crazy ending where it just goes full bananas and
Totally off the rails.
Oh yeah.
And it just, I love it when you're going down a path and then there's a logical way of steering you sideways, and then it's just downhill all the way and just end. It doesn't have to go to the obvious ending, but it kind of has that obvious ending, but it's not the obvious ending because you don't really see the ending of the movie. Sort of like we had in Ready or Not, where it's the end, nobody's after her, but we want to see the rest of her story. Does she get arrested? Does she now own all this wealth? And in this one, we kind of realize, the world is coming to an end because none of them want to kill each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the old ones are loose. Cthulhu is coming.
The big corporate overlords failed to protect humanity through their elaborate rituals, as opposed to, I don't know, just doing the job the right way.
Yeah.
What you have to wonder too, just as an aside, I know that these are supposed to be almost like manifestations of nightmares, but it was still showing the fact that as long as they were killed, it really didn't matter. So when they just round up a group of 5 people and just pop, we saved the world for another year.
I think the suffering and the torture and the anguish was definitely part of the ritual. You had to have the chase and everything. You couldn't just line up 4 people and pop them off, because you lose that visceral, natural, organic feeling of it. And I do believe a god would know the difference.
Are you saying that the gods are petty critics? How dare you?
Let's just say this. If I wasn't introduced to the 40K universe, I would say no. But because I know
the 40K universe, they are petty as shit.
They're petty as fuck. So I'm completely in agreement with that. So yeah, it's a fun ride. And if you're into horror movies, it has an even extra bit to it, because if you know the tropes, you can see how they play with it to subvert your expectation, but not in a terrible way, to spite you, in a good way to pay homage to what came before it. And then they go down that rabbit hole and like steer you off a cliff, because they throw you into this situation where it just goes completely bananas and you don't know what will come up next.
Mm-hmm.
Will they win? Will they not win? Because you kind of expect the last girl to stay the last girl, but you have all those shenanigans again.
Yeah. And I want to say too, as a big horror fan, as Amorata can attest to it, as we mentioned before, part of the fun about this movie is I think that they had the most fun was working with the creative department on trying to just get all of these homages in to make it so that they were unique enough so they weren't just blatant ripoffs. But people can go, I know what that's from. I know what that's from.
All right, Amorata, final words before we wrap things up.
I love this movie. I think it's great. I like the way they weave everything together and pay attention to it. This is the way a director and writer should attempt to subvert expectations, not to spite everybody, but to provide a new and exciting experience. So, yeah, that's about what I got.
Would you like me could suggest this to people who were not into horror at all?
I do think it is a good beginner's horror movie, just because it introduces you in a way that isn't as shocking, and it kind of, while it has a lot of stuff that's really great for your original horror movie fans, the people who are really deep into it, it has just enough levity that it kind of takes the edge off.
All right.
No. I would agree with that sentiment exactly, the wholeheartedly, because I think the levity that's inherent in it, because that's where you can get a lot of the Joss Whedon from. That is the real the lighter moments in there, and also the camaraderie that's inherent between those friends, and how someone recognizes that something's wrong and how they're acting different. That's really great, and it's again subverting your expectations. But as you said, Amorata, not in the way that we're used to anymore, where they're subverting our expectations in a negative way and almost in a way to spite the audience. Instead, this is to please the audience. Like, this is a better way to subvert your expectations.
Cool. All right, that kind of brings us to the end. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please, if you don't mind, go to the description down below and subscribe to the Abysmal Critic, HorrorAmorata's channel, where she goes through mostly video game news and articles and that sort of
basically
thing,
talk
right?
about video game news explicitly. So, or video game related topics, what's coming out, what things that have been said, sometimes a little bit of video game related drama if something pops off in between developers or between developers and journalists, or if the journalists are just being dumb, that kind of thing. So I got plenty of stuff to work with.
I would say Ubisoft has kept you pretty busy the last couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Between Ubisoft and Dragon Age, I've had a lot to do. Yeah.
Dragon Age just makes me sad. I don't want to talk about it. I'm gonna cry.
I don't either, but people seem to enjoy those videos. I think they just like watching me suffer. Actually, no, I know they like watching me suffer, because I asked them if they wanted me to watch this last release trailer, because I feel like the news is getting played out. I don't have a lot more new I can say about it. And they're like, yeah, we want to watch you watch the release trailer. I'm like, fuck.
I only saw this question now. So is this movie filled with Whedonisms? Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot.
If you're a fan of his writing or his any kind of shows or movies that he's done, you can definitely see the points where it's Whedon and the points that it's not. Like the reverse mirror, I think it's Drew Goddard's kind of a thing, and he used it in other projects that he's done later on down the line, and they both kind of work.
What's interesting is you mentioned that, Meph, is one thing that he utilized in this film that he utilized at Bad Times, the El Royale, was a one-way mirror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But thank you, Amorata, for joining us. It's always fun to have you, especially in October, where we kind of cover horror stuff, because it's, it's in your wheelhouse. I know you love them, and I love your perspective. So thank you.
I love being here, just hanging out. So it's a good time.
All right.
I was going to have
cool.
another horror nerd on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Next week will be kind of a weird one because I'm switching time zones and the US is not. So I'm going to try to keep it at the same time, US time. I think Europe is also switching to winter time this week. I don't know when. So Europe is going to be different from the US next week, but it was just for a week. It's probably going to be at the same time. I don't know. Once I publish it, you will know. But next week is also a new month, and it
This
is
is gonna be
all
fun.
about Hanks giving. So we're covering Tom Hanks movies. Next week,
See, I still name a good month every now and then. See, I kind of giggle out of it.
I know.
Yes, but I also like Naked Gun and airplane movies. So take that for what it was.
Me too. All right. So next month, please go out and watch Road to Perdition. It should be on Tubi for free.
I think it's also on Freevee as well.
Yeah, I think it's also on Roku for free.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Because I just had a look and like, where is this thing streaming? It said Amazon. It's probably rent on Amazon, Tubi, and Roku. So check if you have it. If not, rent it, or just if you have YouTube Prime, you might even have it on YouTube. Sometimes it pops. These things just pop. So if you're already paying for YouTube Prime or YouTube Premium, it might even have it on YouTube Premium. Because
a lot of stuff on YouTube Premium. Definitely check that out.
Been building up a big library of stuff that you can watch. So if you're already paying for a service, you might even get it. So go watch Road to Perdition. It's a
fantastic film.
Seen it. I've seen it recently. It's really good. I cannot wait to rewatch it again, just more critically, and let's have fun with it because it's a very unique Tom Hanks movie.
We'll talk more about the comic book adaptation as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the comic book adaptation. You don't have to read the comic book, or it's
graphic novel,
basically. But yeah, go watch the movie. Very interesting. If you haven't watched it, and if you have watched it, rewatch it again. It's worth it. And I guess we'll see you next week. So remember, guys, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week.
You're still here? It's over.